Hi, thanks for joining me again. This is a series in which I did an interview with a couple of women who had been guests of mine and who were great friends and who I'd gotten along with exceptionally well and whose company I really enjoyed. I didn't get to spend that much time with them because they were really busy. They were out doing a lot of their own stuff during their visit to my city, but they, in the little moments here and there in between, we definitely had some laughs. And it was Sallie, the INTJ, and who was the main focus of this interview. Sallie and I started bantering right away, and she was the one who had made the arrangements for the guest stay here. And very quickly, she and I were, zipping around verbally. So I knew I had a live one on my hands, and someone with probably a good amount of some kind of intuitive cognitive function happening. And it happened to be the case that within, like 5-10 minutes of her being here, I was like, I was like, whoa, I was excited. I'm like, this is an INTJ. I think so, but we'll see, And as it happened, she and her good friend CJ, who does take part in this interview a little bit too, she's off to the side throughout. So if you see, me and Sallie looking that way, that's who we're looking at. And I was pretty quick to think that CJ would identify with an INP type, but it was not to be confirmed until later which type she identifies with, because she wasn't familiar with the model at all at the time the interview took place. So anyway, I do apologize in advance for those who are about to proceed. This one is a nerdy one because it's long and it's like, you gotta be really interested in this stuff, I think, to stay with it. But I was excited because I thought, I had, once again, I've had a really strange, statistically odd preponderance of the rarer types coming around. And I've had, and talk about rare. I mean, whatever, rare, like what's the difference between, like what's the big whoop between, 0.5% rarer, but, or, 2% rarer. But I have, I've had INTJ women guests on 4 occasions that I know of, where 3 where they were confirmed and 1 strongly suspected. I don't think there have been, I don't know if there have been more, I don't think so, but you never know. There are plenty of people that I don't have an immediate strong impression of, or I usually do have a strong immediate impression, or, rather fast impression of a few things, a few tendencies temperamentally, but sometimes people stump me for a long time. And other people, it's like, oh, there we go, and then it gets confirmed later. That's what happened with these ones. We had quite a lot to talk about before we went on camera at the end of their stay. They're both psychotherapists. And and I was going through a lot of like psychological stuff, and I'm very interested in that and looking to become a psychotherapist. So, my dad's one, and anyway, whatever. There's a lot of my friends are in training for that. And, so it's a big topic of interest, right? And lots of NTs and NFs in my life. So we talked about those things, and that comes up in the interview a little bit too. Things having to do with their line of work, and they became friends, through professional association at first. And I'll tell you that Sallie says something in part 1 that might, like it did me too, actually. It led me to wonder if maybe she would be more like identify with INFJ ultimately. But it turns out that I did correspond with them in the weeks after I did this interview, and each of them did go and look into it independently, the MBTI and the type profiles, and Sallie could confirm that she very much more identifies with INTJ. So my first impression was correct. And CJ too. CJ looked into it, and it turns out she identifies the most with INFP. So that was really neat, and it was really cool to see these two. Just to see these two cool people interacting and having a really good time. Now for this video series, what I propose to do is, I'm gonna after this intro, I'm gonna post 3 videos of the whole, 40-ish minutes of the talk I had, mainly with Sallie, but with CJ participating as well. And what I'd like you to do, if you follow that far, is to look in the description box, because to apologize to you right now, the sound and visual quality is like, the framing's a bit weird, and the sound quality is really loud at a couple of points. So I want you to protect your ears. Just be aware of where all of a sudden my voice is going to get really loud, or there's going to be a sort of very loud ruffling sound. And I'm sorry about that. Part of the reason why I did, I'm pretty fast and loose with how I make my videos, but part of the reason I was really just letting it go on in this case was because I could tell that they were both really shy, and I felt like, again, I've got a lady INTJ. I'm like, it's like a big fish in the boat. Like, I don't want to scare her off. I wanted them to be comfortable as possible, and I just felt like if I, fussed around a lot with, let's make the sound perfect and let's get you sitting just there and whatever, then it would take away from the spontaneity of the thing, and it would maybe frighten them right off. I don't know, make them feel even more self-conscious than they did. On that note, I say thank you so much, Sallie and CJ. I really enjoyed my time with you, and I really appreciate that you let me have this talk with you, and let me record it and post it. Thanks a lot. I think some people are going to really like that. And so what I propose to do is put in the description box per part at the top, parts where you might want to watch the volume a little, if there are any. And then what I will do below that is have another section where I put with time code markers points in the interview where I feel that Sallie, and CJ too actually, where I feel that what they're saying at a given time really exemplifies expression or typifies expression of such and such a cognitive function that they'd have in their cognitive function stack. And then what I'll do is, if there seems to be enough interest or, in that, what I might do is later add a part 5, where I do what I've done in a lot of my other videos, where I've used some pop culture document and then have discussed, different moments from it that exemplify this or that and why I think that is, and so on, what is, associations I have with it. So those who are ready to embark on that journey, I hope you enjoy it, and thanks for watching. Bye.